Thanks for joining, everyone. So great to see you again. So really appreciate your continued interest to learn and upskill. So here we are with the second session in the Journey Builder series. So as we have mentioned earlier, we are coming up a three-part series. So I will just run through what we have shared with you before. So this is the three-part series. This is in collaboration with Phoenix Marketers Group, MC Learning Camp, and Tim Zitter. Tim, want to give you a shout out for all the collaboration and the help on this one. So in this three-part series, we have Journey Builder Fundamentals series, the deep dive series, and the hands-on sessions. So in the fundamental series, we have a number of sessions lined up, which will cover the basics of the Journey Builder. I know we said basics, but then it still has 8+ sessions in this series. This will mostly cover all the out of the box features of the Journey Builder. So whatever you can see in the UI, whatever you can use. So we're gonna use that. We're gonna cover that in the fundamental series, and in the deep dive series. So we have a number of sessions lined up. So I'm gonna switch the screen and share the other one where we have all the sessions that are lined up. So here are all the fundamental sessions. We have 8, and in here are all the deep dive sessions. So deep dive sessions, we are still working to get more sessions lined up because we want to cover each and every use case that can be implemented within the Journey Builder. So be it the personalization activity, or the WhatsApp integration, or the TikTok, or creating custom events, whatnot. So whatever we can think of, whatever that is possible within the Journey Builder, we are trying to include everything in the deep dive series. And in the hands-on sessions, if you are familiar with the other sessions, if you have attended other hands-on sessions, this will be like a build with the sessions where one of you will get an opportunity to build along. We will be providing access to the org, and you can build that. Whatever we're learning in the fundamentals or in the deep dive series, we're going to implement that during the hands-on sessions. Switching back to this one, a few logistics items. The sessions will all be recorded. I know the last session as well is pending, so I'm going to upload both of these sessions together in a day or two. And I have published most of the events on this user group. So we're going to post this link in the chat window as well. Please make sure that you have registered to this, all the events created. And also, if you are a member of that group, you will be automatically notified of all the new sessions that we publish. So I'm going to publish the other sessions as well. As I have shown, we're working with the confirmation of the schedule and the time. So once that is confirmed, we're going to publish that. Make sure that you are part of the group so you get automatic notifications. And I believe most of you are already part of the Slack channel. So if you are not, please share the email address so I can add you there. So this Slack channel is mainly to share communications about the ongoing sessions. If you have any questions related to this series, we are happy to answer them. But if you have any in general questions about the marketing cloud or data cloud or anything as such, I would encourage all of you to use the Salesforce chatter, wherein the best answers are monitored, and then the experts are given credit for those answers. So for all the generic questions, we would encourage you to use the Salesforce chatter. And if you are interested to be the builder for the hands-on series, let us know on this form, or you can also reach out to Tim or myself for this one. So in the previous session, we have covered a few of the settings, configurations, and few of the features within the Journey Builder. We have looked at some of the use cases, the benefits, the use cases, and the different types of journeys, the templates available, and the UI actions, elements that are available, and on the canvas, what kind of actions that we can perform. We also looked at some of the entry sources. So the batch entry sources and the triggered entry sources. Just to give a recap of that, the batch entry sources are used when we want to inject contacts in bulk at some points of time as per the schedule, maybe hourly ones or daily ones. We can inject all of the contacts together. Triggered entry sources are used whenever we have an event that happens, whenever we have a date that comes up, or the cloud page is smart, a contact goes ahead and fills in a contact a cloud page, then that will be injected into the journey. So these are all triggered based on an action that happens outside of the marketing cloud. The data, the relevant data, the field values will be injected into the marketing cloud, and they will be entered into the journey. So these are the different types of triggered entry sources available. I'll quickly go through this because I just want to give a recap of this one. I want to have some time to cover the rest of the features as well. And in the activities, we have activities that we can send out the communications on different channels, the email, mobile, and if the advertising studio is integrated, then we can send out the audiences to the advertising studio, or add the audiences in the journey to the advertising to a campaign. And we can also integrate WhatsApp, and we can use those activities as well. These will be visible only when these are integrated. Let's say if WhatsApp is integrated, we'll see these two activities. And if mobile studio is configured and is activated, we'll see the rest of the activities related to the mobile studio. And in the flow control, we have different sets of activities that are available. So I was covering this part in the last session. So the flow activities are divided into split activities and then flow control activities. So under the split activities, we have decision split based on a filter criteria. If the filter criteria is met, it's like if else condition. It can be a loop of if else, if else, if else, if, and then else. The same way in the decision split, we can have multiple filter criteria, and depending on where it matches the contact record, where it matches, it will be routed to that particular path. The random split is when we just want to randomly split the audiences into different paths, not based on any criteria, but simply split them and route them through different paths. Engagement split is used when we want to route the customers based on their engagement. If they have opened an email or not, based on that, if you want to route, we can use this engagement split. So after we have split these paths, and then at some point of time we have engaged them in different set of activities and want to connect them back, we use the join activity. Another set of activities are the wait activities. So depending on what kind of wait period we want to introduce, we have different set of wait activities in here. Wait by attribute. Attribute is basically a date value. So based on that value, the on the duration value, the wait period will be included. Wait by duration, we can say the days, the minutes, or number of weeks, and so on, until chat response. If WhatsApp is integrated, and if we want to wait until we receive a chat response, or until a specific date, or until a specific event, and in-app and push events, or from the mobile studio use cases. And these are all the different configurations that we can set on the wait activities. So each of these will be covered in detail in the next few sessions. And Einstein activities, or if the Einstein features are enabled in the marketing cloud instance, then we can utilize these activities. So there are 3 types of activities that we can include in the journey. So scoring split is when we want to check how loyal they are, how engaged they are with the brand, and depending on that, on their interest, we can split them, and we can route them through different paths. Frequency split is based on how frequently they want to be communicated. So based on that, we can reduce the number of communications with them. So in such cases, we can use the frequency split. And Einstein send time optimization. So this will evaluate the best time to send a message to a particular contact. So if, let's say, the contacts are injected in bulk, let's take an example of 100 contacts injected into the journey at once. But when it reaches the Einstein STO activity, it will look at each contact. Out of 100 contacts, it will look at each contact and what is the best time to send a message to each one of them. And depending on their specific preferable time, then it will send out the communications. So I see this often used in many of the client instances, where they will send out the messages, but they will wait until this Einstein activity, STO, to make sure that the email is landing or the communication is landing on their devices at the appropriate time. So now we jump into another important feature, the path optimizer. So this will be covered in detail in the next sessions, but I will give a high level overview of what it is all about. This is also a very important feature of the Journey Builder introduced 2 years ago. So just like the way in the A/B testing, we send out communications, we send out different versions of the email. So the different versions can contain a different version of the subject line, or in the content, or the from name and the send time. Now we can test different versions of the email and see which one is doing better, and we can finalize the one which does better in the further communications. So path optimizer is like one step ahead of the A/B testing. So the same concept, we will be using that within the journey. So A/B testing is done on the email from the email studio. Path optimizer is within the journey, wherein we can send different set of different variations of the email along with other communications as well. It's not just limited to the email, but we can also include SMS, and within the email we can send out, we can try out different variations. And also this variation applies to not just the email or the SMS, but the entire path. Let's say I have three different variations of the path, wherein upon reaching the path optimizer, if you can see within the example in this section here, after sending the email, we have included this path optimizer activity, wherein it is routing it through different paths. So on one path, it will be a different version of the email, or on the other path, another version of the email, along with other activities as well, not just the email. We can add wait activities, or email wait and then SMS, or email engagement split and then another email. So we can try out different versions of the sequence of activities. So if it is an A/B testing, it's just a variation of the email, but within the path optimizer, it will be a variation of the activities or the steps that are included on different paths. That way we can include up to 10 different variations of the path, and we can control the content. We can update the content in each variation. Let's say in path 1 we are sending an email, path 2 we are sending an email with different attributes, with a different content, or different versions of the images, or the send time. We can try out different versions. And the speciality of the path optimizer is that among all the paths that are defined in here, it has the ability to decide what is the winning path. Let's say we have sent out 100 communications, and 50 goes in the path A and 50 goes in the path B. It will evaluate by itself which one is opened, or the engagement is better for which path, and depending on that, it selects the winning path. So we can select the winning path based on the email engagement or the manual selection. So if you see here, under the summary, we have winner evaluation. So it will evaluate the winner based on email engagement. And under the email engagement as well, we can define whether email engagement means the opens or the clicks, or any other engagement. And manual, we can also set what are the attributes we want to check, and manual selection gives us the ability to look at the data, analytics data, and decide which path is the winning path. If we say email engagement, it selects by itself after a set period of time. So it selects the winning path. And after this evaluation, and let's say for the email engagement, we have defined the number of days is 3 days. And within the 3 days, if you want to go back and check the analytics data, and then we can also manually select the winner as well. So this email engagement has both the abilities, like it can automatically select the winner, or we can intervene in between. We can check the stats, and then we can select the winner as well. And in here, you see another option, the split on the holdback. A split determines how we want to split the number of contacts. Let's say to this specific step, 100 contacts are entering. So how do we want to split? The first path, 35%, 35%, 30%, or what is the percentage that we want to split the audiences. And holdback is another feature wherein we decide out of 100, we only want to test 10 contacts. We want to hold back 90 contacts, and then only after the winner is evaluated, we want to route the remaining 90 contacts through the winning path. So we can also do that by using the whole pack setting. So I'm not going to go in depth on this one because we are going to cover in detail in one of the next sessions. So in the next sessions, we will configure a journey using these, and we will see how it works it works in a real-time journey. Here are some of the differences between the A/B testing and the path optimizer. So in the A/B testing, we only have the ability to test the variations of the subject line from name, content, and the send time. But for the path optimizer, it's an extension of the A/B testing that can be included within the journey builder, and we can include up to 10 different paths. And it can include variations of the subject line, pre-header, personalization, or how we are including the personalization strings, the contacts, the content, the images, what kind of images are working, or if the content with the images works better or without the images works better, or the short content is working better or the longer content is working better. We can check on that. And also wait time. So in a particular path, if we include a wait time in between, so giving a three days gap in between is working better, or giving 1 day gap in between is working better. We can select different variations of these. And also send time by setting the STO or making use of other wait activities. We can also decide on what is the cadence that works best, and the channel. So if we are sending the communication on the email, is it working better than the SMS channel or the advertising? So we can set all these different variations in a single path from the path optimizer. And winner can be chosen by automatical evaluation, or we can also choose the winner after the evaluation completes. So as you can see here in the picture, in the screenshot here, so here there are 3 paths available. And we can also see the engagement, the open rate, the click rate, and the unsubscribe rate. And among these, if we think that path three is the one that we want to go ahead with, we can set the evaluation criteria accordingly, or we can also choose the winner manually. The next one is the customer updates. I have likely touched upon this in the last session. This customer updates is used to track the progress of the journey. So this is like an additional logging that we will include within the journey builder. So this is like an activity wherein we pull this into the journey at a specific step. And then we have the ability to update a data extension within the marketing cloud with some attribute values. Let's say this contact has entered welcome journey. We want to track that, whether the contact has entered or not. Apart from the regular data extensions and regular checks, we can also have this update attribute values. So wherein this gives an easy way for us to go back and look at the log data extensions and see how the contact is progressing. So let's say we have a common log data extension. Log is just the name of the data extension. We have a data extension with a name log D. So in that, when it enters the welcome journey, we have a free attribute name welcome journey, and then we update it with the value S. So it means it has entered the welcome journey. And then for the other journeys as well, the similar way, we can update the same data extension, and then we can see what all journeys the contact has entered, or it has passed through. So it is used to track the progress of contacts through a journey. So when the contact has exited the same journey, at the end, before exiting, we can add another update contact activity and say and set the value to false, or create another attribute and then update its value that it has exited from the same journey. So that way we can track the progress of the particular contact within the journey or across different journeys as well. And when given a specific path, let's say there are different paths here. So path A, let's say they have subscribed or they have not signed up. So we can update those attribute values as well in the log data extension to have a place wherein we can easily audit which path they have flown through. So at this decision split point, we want to know the specific contact has entered through which path. So on reaching each path, we can have the customer update activity, update contact activity. So it will go and update that specific attribute value. Let's say the path 1, path 2, path 3. So if path 1 is updated with yes, then we can understand that the particular contact has passed through path 1 instead of 2 or 3. So this way we can also track how a contact is moving through different steps in the journey. And whenever we are exiting the contact, we can make a note of that in the log data extension. Then we can know whether the contact is still in the journey or it has exited out of the journey. And this is also a way where we can monitor. If let's say we want a contact to exist in only one single journey at any one point of time, then we can have a common log data extension wherein it tracks a contact whenever it enters any of the journeys, and whenever it's going to enter in the second journey, it will check the particular flags, particular values, and then only it will enter into another journey. So if it is already in another journey, it will exit out. It will restrain from entering in another journey. So even in interviews or many other places, I have seen this is the common scenario that is being asked. So in many interview questions, I have seen this question being asked about if you want to have a single contact enter in one journey at any point of time, how would you do that? So this is one way where we can streamline the contacts, which journey they are entering, and also limit them from entering the second journey. So this is very important activity, and I have seen this one is commonly used in the journeys whenever we want to track the data. And here are some other activities. So when we have the MC Connect done, the Salesforce CRM is integrated with the Marketing Cloud, then we will have the capability to work directly on the Salesforce data. So we can inject the records from the Salesforce directly into the journey. We don't need to get them, we don't need to sync them, we don't need to get them into the data extension and then feed the data extension into the journey. We don't need to do all that. From within the Salesforce, it can be the Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, or any other I think Commerce Cloud and Experience Cloud as well. We can inject the records into the Journey Builder. It can be in the way of some criteria. We have seen the entry sources. So from within the entry sources, there is Salesforce data as well, wherein we define the object the data is coming from. And also there is another way, the records can be injected in bulk using the reports. So whenever a report is run in the Salesforce, we can sync that report into the Marketing Cloud, and we can use that report into the Journey Builder. So these activities are available after the entry is done, and then after going through some steps, we want to update some of the object data within the Salesforce. It can be done within the Journey Builder itself. Let's say we have some set of activities that are done, and if we think that the customer now qualifies to be converted to a lead, so we have this specific activity that is available here, convert lead. It can be used to convert that specific contact into a lead. And then it can also create a task. Let's say the contact has reached one particular state and we want to update the Service Cloud, create a task there, so the service agent can go and make a phone call or set up some meeting with them to give more information. So that way we can create task or opportunity or some contacts or cases, and then link them to that specific contact record which has flown through the Journey Builder. We can also link them to the campaign, and the contact and lead can be linked to that specific campaign. You can also create accounts, convert leads, and also custom objects. Also, we can map and then update some of the attributes in the custom objects as well. So we can use these only when Marketing Cloud Connect is fully configured. on. So after we have created the journey, once we have done, uh, let's say we are good with the version of the journey, and we want to go ahead and start the journey. And after some time, we want to create a new revision. So we want to add more wait time in between, or we have mobile studio fully configured and we want to include the SMS communications as well in the same journey. We have to create another version of the journey. We cannot go and update the existing journey, the running journey. Marketing Cloud is great with the version control for the journeys. So whatever the journey is running, we cannot update it. We can only create a new version of it, and then we can update and then activate that version. So we any changes that can be done will be done on the new version, and we can go back to on the toolbar. We'll have this version numbers. We can go to any of the versions and look back how the configuration was done. And also, whenever your contact enters into the journey tracks the number of contacts that passed through each and every step. You will notice that in the next sessions, wherein we have running journeys and then the contacts are flowing through the journeys. On each activity, there will be a display of the number of contacts who has passed through that specific activity. So for each version, we can go back and look at that data and also look at how the journey was configured for that specific version. So whenever we are creating a new version, the status of the present version will be moved to finishing, and the new version, when it is activated, it will move to running. And all the new contacts that enter after the new version is activated, they will enter into the new version. They can no longer enter into the previous versions. So there is no way that we can have the contacts enter into the previous versions. Only they enter into the new version, let's say version 9 here. And all the contacts who are already injected in version 8, 7, 6, and so on, if they have if they are stuck in the wait periods, or if they have still more time to complete their journey, the journey will still run with the older version, and the new contacts will run with the newer version. So this is something important. And then when we want to make some updates, or we want to pause the journey for some reason, we are running some campaign and we have run out of stock and we no longer want to send communications about product in stock email. If you want to pause it for some time until the product becomes in stock again, then we can pause the journey for some particular period of time. We can pause it for a maximum period of 14 days. And after we pause it, we'll see this automatically change to resume this version, or resume all the paused versions. We can select. And stop is when we want to completely stop this version of the journey. So one important difference between pausing and stopping, this is also some interview question or the certification question. The difference between pause and the stop is that whenever a contact reaches a particular activity and then the journey is paused, it still waits in the journey, and after it is resumed, it passes through the next steps. When we stop the version, it will completely eject all the contacts that are present in the journey. So whatever the number of contacts that are present within the journey, they will all be pushed out of the journey and they can no longer enter the journey. And when we have stopped a journey, we cannot reactivate it again. So we have to create a completely new version of the journey. By version, I mean new journey overall. And one important thing to remember about the pause feature is that we can say maximum period, how many days we want to pause the journey, and then after that we can automatically resume the journey. So the maximum wait period is 14 days. After 14 days, even without we doing anything, it can resume the journey. And we can also say after the pause period ends, we want to extend any contacts wait by duration. And after the pause period, and then the wait by duration is also there. If we want to extend it or not extend it, this is also if option that we can select. One important thing to note here is that, let's say we have paused for 14 days, and then we want to we have some approvals come in or some product changes that come in, and we want to resume it after 3 days. We can always go back and resume the journey at any point of time. But if we have given a wait period of 3 days and then we still want it to be extended by 4 days, we cannot extend that period. We have to resume the journey and then again pause it with saying 4 more days. So this is important thing that we need to consider when pausing. So the always suggestible is to include the maximum number of days. And then if we need to resume it beforehand, we can anytime go back and resume the journey. And here are some of the statuses of the journeys. So whenever we create a new journey, it will be saved as a draft version. And when we are good with it and then we save it, we activate it, it will be running status. So if the journey is running, it will be running status. And if it is scheduled and set to run at a specific period of time, it will be scheduled. And sent, let's say we have a single send journey, and then we have sent the communications, it is all done. Because it is a single send, it is one time, the status will change to send, that's it. And if we have stopped the journey, it will be in stop status. And finishing is when we just discussed it before. When we create a new version of the journey, it will move that status to finishing and the new version to running. So in the finishing state, the only contacts that are present within the journey will continue to run. And in the new version, all the new records will be injected. Deleted when we want to delete the journey, and cancelled when we cancel out the journey. These are the different statuses that are available. And as we have discussed, so if we want to make any changes to the journey, we need to create a new version of the journey, and then only we can make changes. But there is an exception to this. If we were to make any changes to the email configuration, so we have included an email activity within the journey. Only for that specific email, we can change some configurations. Let's say on the email sender profile or the email subject line or the any other configurations that we want to include, we can do that for the running status and the finishing journeys. So we only email changes can be done. And the active ones will be running and finishing. These will be the only ones that will be running. And running will allow entry of new contacts. Finishing will not allow entry of new contacts. It will only complete the contacts within the journey, and then it will be done. And it can have both the running and finishing journeys can have the audiences. And the draft version of the journey will not be active, or they cannot inject any records when they're in the draft status. And even in the stopped status, nothing can happen, edits or entry of the new contacts or anything, nothing will happen in the stop state. Only in the running and the finishing, the contacts will be there and email changes can be done, and they will be actively running. These are some other important configurations. So when we create the journey, so we have included all the paths, all the settings, and the journey is now finished. And the next step is, when do we want the journey to run, right? So is the journey meant to run only once and then be done? Is it like a coupon reminder email or something that we just want to send once? Or is it like a recurring journey wherein we want to send daily newsletters or weekly newsletters? So if it is a recurring journey that we want to run at a particular cadence, so these are all defined under the schedule type. This is a must for every journey, that we need to have this configuration. So when it is run once, we are saying that it runs only one time. So under this, we have on activation, it should run, or at a specific date and time. So on activation, whenever we save the journey and activate it, if you see here, if you see on the toolbar on the right, so we will see the activate button. So that activates the journey and then injects the records into the journey and then makes the journey flow, the context flow through the different steps in the journey. So when do we want to run the journey? So whenever we activate that, or at a specific date and time at 12 p.m. Every day, we can set the time. And recurring is when every day or hourly or weekdays. So if we want to import some logs from the external system every day at some particular point of time, so that is the common use case that I see. Let's say the preferences are all managed from an external system, so we want to get those preferences or get some log files into the marketing cloud. We can run these at a regular schedule, so it can be hourly or daily or only on the weekdays or weekends or monthly or yearly. So we can set the starting date and time as well and the time zone. And under this contact evaluation, this is also something important, the contact evaluation. So whenever the contacts are entering the journey, how we want to evaluate the contacts. So there may be multiple varieties of contacts, the contacts which entering just now or contacts which have been present in the data extension since so long. So on the activation of the journey, we get to decide, evaluate new records only. New records means, let's say I already have a data extension with 5 records and then 5 new records are added. So it should inject only the 5 new records or evaluate all records. Should it evaluate all the 10 records? So upon activation, we get to define how we want to have the records enter the journey builder. So this is also one important thing where we decide we want to enter all the records within the data extension or only the records which are added to the data extension after the journey is activated. So and even after evaluate new records only, we have a different setting here. We'll see that in the demo part. And this setting we have discussed in the last session. So whenever a contact is entering the journey, we can define how we want to have the contact re-enter. If the purpose of the journey is only is a one-time send, we only want a contact to enter only one time, we say no re-entry. If it can re-enter anytime or re-enter only after exiting, we define this. And also we define the email address, which attribute can be used to take the email address value, and also for the mobile number, which attribute can be used from within the data extension. And there is one other important thing about the journey data and the contact data. Journey data is something which is static. So let's say I'm going back to the example of the data extension or any other entry source. We get the data into the journey. And the contact, I'm taking an example of a contact who signs up for a membership. And let's say he or she moves up from the gold membership to the platinum membership. But the journey is meant only for the contacts who are with the gold membership. So we don't want to have, or we want to have a separate set of communications for the platinum membership members. So the data, after they have entered the journey, if that is changed, some of the data is dynamic, the journey cannot track the changes. So from the data extension, whenever the record enters into the journey, it takes a snapshot of all the data values. So when the contact is entering, his membership status is gold. Let's take it as an example. And from after 30 days, if he's still in the journey and his membership status changes to platinum, that will not be updated in the journey data. So in many cases, we may want to route some customers depending on the dynamic data. Let's say the membership changes or some preferences. They have signed up for something and they have changed their preference data. So depending on that, we need to orchestrate. We need to divert them through different paths, let's say. So in that case, we cannot use the journey data. We need to use the contact data. So the difference between the journey data and the contact data is that the journey data is a snapshot of the data whenever a contact enters the journey. The contact data is something which is dynamic. Why we call it as the contact data? Because we map that particular data extension, that data, to the contact model within the marketing cloud. So because that is mapped within the contact model, so we can access that information within the journey builder as well. So if we want to access some dynamic data, we have to use the contact data. So in the decision split or wherever we are using some attribute values, we have a variation, like it gives a list of options: journey data or contact data. So from journey data, if we select that, we get to see all the values, the attribute values that are coming from the entry data extension. If we say the contact data, we get to see all the attributes that are mapped within the contact model, and we can use whatever attribute values that we need for that specific use case. So journey data is a snapshot taken at a specific point of time, and it never changes, lives in the system memory. It's faster to access. But contact data, it will be mapped to the contact model. It will be slower to access than the journey data, but it has the most up-to-date value, and it can be accessed from any marketing cloud app as well. So we have an in-depth session about journey data and the contact data in the deep dive series. And once we are done with the scheduling, with the contact evaluation and everything, we are good to go. And before launching, before activating the journey, there are some steps where we want to make sure that everything is configured correctly and all the things are set up. So for that, Journey Builder comes with a feature, journey validation. So here on the toolbar, we have this validate. So once we click on this, Journey Builder has a specific set of places where it checks. It checks the entry sources, the decision splits, whether it is all configured properly, and also the attributes are referenced, or they available or not, are they updatable or not, engagement splits, are they configured properly or not, the entry schedule, is this set up correctly, and the evaluation, the update contacts or the wait activities, the settings, the goals and exit criteria. It runs a check on all these settings and evaluates, and if there is anything missing, it will list down all the things that are missing. So we can go back and make the changes and then come back and revalidate it again. So after it is revalidated successfully, we're all good to go with the journey. We can give a test. We can do a test of the journey. We can, by the test, it will not consider the wait times. Let's say we send an email. Uh, in we don't really send an email. It will be a test send. So it won't really go and send out the email to the actual subscribers. We can modify the recipients of the emails, and if there's any wait period in between the activities, that can be ignored. So the testing includes only the random splits and the decision splits. We get to see for a specific contact, if we say we can include up to 10 records for the testing, and we can see how each record flows through different steps or different paths in the journey. It can include the random splits and the decision splits, and it works only for the data entry source, data extension entry sources only. And whatever the wait times or the entry settings or the email messages, it won't really check those, because if the testing would take 30 days, if the journey is set for 30 days and the testing takes 30 days, it doesn't make sense. So it ignores all the wait times and the entry settings, the contact re-entry or no re-entry, and it will ignore all these things. It will just give out the testing results, how a contact flows through different paths in the journey. We'll cover this in detail in the next analytics section, but I just want to touch upon this a little bit. So the contact health, this gives the overall attainment, the goal attainment, or we can also, as you see here in this screenshot, we can give a contact key ID, and then we can search for that contact key, and then we can see how that contact is flowing through within the journey. And we can also eject that journey out from the eject that contact from the journey. So this is the only place where we can remove a particular contact from a journey. So if we were to do it in bulk, we have to do it via API. And if it is Salesforce integrated, and if we want to uh, eject the contact from the journey, we can do that by using an app exchange app exchange tool. So if that from the Salesforce, we can select the specific contact, and we can remove that contact from within Salesforce, and that can be removed from the journey. So there are multiple ways, but this is the easy way wherein we can remove a single contact from a journey. And apart from removing or finding the contact, it can also give a stats on the goal attainment, and the current population, how many contacts are flowing through, or any other important things that we need to make a note. And goal and exit criteria. So goal is set to measure the success. We can set some uh, count. So let's say we want to have 1,000 people flow through that journey, and we want to measure the success, who have reached that journey, or who have availed, who have exited the journey. We can measure that all that using the goals. And we can within the goal setting in here in this snapshot, we can say I want 700 total employees to, we can define the criteria. And we can also define the percentage as well. I want 10% of the total records entering the journey to achieve this. So we can set this, and the goals can be measured. And whenever we're looking at the on the journey dashboard, we can see how each journey is performing against its goal. And also in the health, we can see goal attainment also, how the journey is doing, how much of contacts have achieved that set goal or not. We can see that. And exit criteria is used to exit out a contact if they have if they have met some criteria. Let's say a subscriber has changed from gold membership to platinum membership. We want to exit them out of the journey. We can set the exit criteria as membership status equals platinum, then exit. So we can set all those things under the exit criteria. And there is also an option wherein if the exit criteria should be considered as a goal measurement as well or not. This thing we have touched upon a little bit in the last session. If we have a particular set of activities, let's say I want from starting email update contact and this wait period, I want to use multiple number of times. Instead of creating these three sequence of activities again and again, I can copy these, and we can say copy activity. And then that will be that set of four activities will be saved as a specific activity. We can pull in and add that activity wherever we want. So that will be repeated as many number of times that we want. So that is copy activity. And copy template. So when we are done with the journey creation, and we can also save it as a template. So template only copies the wait period and some specific activities. It doesn't copy the email configuration and other settings. So when we create a journey template, it will be visible under the journey templates, my saved templates. Under that category, we can access those, and we can recreate another versions of the journey from those. And journey analytics, we are going to cover in depth in one of the next sessions. So journey analytics, the journey builder has the capability to retain up to 30 days of the journey history. So we can search for a particular contact ID, and then see what activity they are at, or how the email delivery has been, or the SMS deliveries, or the bounce rates. We can get all these analytics within the journey itself. Then I will jump to the demo part. I will quickly touch upon some of these features in the Marketing Cloud instance. I know we have a detailed session for each of these activities. So we'll be covering in detail for each of these activities, and also along with the use cases. So here we access the journey builder. I just want to take a pause and see if there are any questions. And thank you, Lakshmi, for answering some of the questions here. I think most of the questions have been answered. So I'll try to cover the demo part here. So under the journey templates, this is the place where we see all the system provided templates. The my templates is the place where the ones that we create will be visible. Journey, a very simple journey that starts with the data extension, and we have seen most of the activities. Only personalization activity is something which is not covered. Personalization activity is when the MCP is integrated, Marketing Cloud personalization is integrated, and that audiences are pushed into the Marketing Cloud. We can use this and we can include that within the journey and then follow the sequence later on. So we're going to have a detailed session, a deep dive session on this personalization activity as well later on. So stay tuned for all the other sessions. We're going to cover each and every single activity and then go in depth for each of these. So here I have used the decision split. So under the decision split, you see here the contact data and the journey data. Journey data is ideally the data that is coming from the data extension that is mapped. Here I have used the data extension Journey Builder Demo. So all the field values that are present in this specific data extension will be visible under the journey data. So journey data entry is the congratulations. This is the name of the journey. And then these are all the various attributes that are available within that journey entry data extension. And the contact data we see when the data extensions are added to the contact model, and we can use these as well within the journey. Regardless of what entry source that we are using, if any data extension is mapped to the contact builder, contact model, we can use any of these. These are all the ones that are mapped within the contact model. So we can use any of these within any of the journeys. And we can compare these values with the journey values as well. You can say an attribute to compare, and we can compare from the journey data and so on. This is the one. And when we say multiple options, we can decide and or, and also we can have a complex logic included here in here. We can say if we add more values as well, we can say these two can be and these outcome of this one and this one can be or. We can have some complex advanced filter criteria as well in this one. So decision split, an important feature wherein we want to we want to moderate how the contacts are flowing through each and every path. And on the email, I touched upon this where I said on the email configuration, we can do some updates on the finishing or the running journeys. So on each email, we can change the subject line. We can change the sender profiles, the delivery options, and any advanced options. So we can see the preview of the email, and also we can change whatever the email is. We can directly access the email within the journey builder, and we can modify that. So we get to see the email. We can update some of the content. We can preview and test it. We can update these properties in here. So under the message configuration, we can change the subject line, and we can update the sender profile, the delivery profile, and pre-header as well. The delivery options, we can update these. If you want to suppress, use any suppression list, or if you want to include any domain exclusions. Domain exclusions is also one of the important. Domain exclusions, if you want to exclude any of the email messages to any of the specific domains. Let's say we don't want to send to .com or .co.au or any specific domains we want to exclude. We create a list of it and we select that. If we want to create a script to exclude any of the contacts, to be sent this email, we can use that exclusion script here. There are some advanced options as well. We will check, or we will look at these in the detailed session. In the content builder, we have a session specifically dedicated for that. So for the finishing and running journeys, these are the options that we can change. Nothing else that we can change except for the email activity, this configuration. Now I will try to create, save and validate this one. I can also save it as a template. Save it as a template. So I can use this template and then modify on top of it. Let's try validating this one. Before I validate, I'll show some of the configurations in here. This is the data extension that is being used and the location, the folder location. And if you want to filter out any of the contacts, so we can only choose from the contact model. So we cannot choose from the journey data. If we want to use that, then we have to map it to the contact model. So for if you want to filter out some of the contacts from entering the journey as well, we can use the filter criteria here. And the schedule. So this is now currently set as recurring. Change schedule type. I'll see 3 different options. Haven't covered automation in the previous slide before. Automation is used, and this is also one which is frequently being used. Whenever we have a huge data coming in and we want to run some SQL queries and then some set of actions, and then inject that from the automation, like from within the automation, we have a set of steps. And then after the automation finishes, we want to route those audiences to the journey builder. Then we can include this injection to the journey as a step within the automation itself. So if there are any automations defined, we can access that updates this same data extension. So it is a mandate that the automation also updates the same data extension that is used within the journey builder. So then this will be activated, and from this we can select the specific automation. So whenever, let's say the automation has 6 steps and the last step is injecting the records into the journey builder. So the automation, whenever it is scheduled, maybe it's hourly or daily, it runs all the 5 steps, previous 5 steps, and then as the sixth step, it injects those records into this journey builder. And we have seen the run once and recurring. Run once is when we only want the journey to run once and then be done with it. It runs on activation or runs at a specific date and time. And recurring, we can set a schedule. I'm setting something. At evaluation, we can select evaluate new records only, and under this one, all the records in the file or only the records added after the journey activation. So what it means is, let's say there is a data extension and there are already so many data records in there. And after the journey is activated, if the journey hasn't passed through that journey, all the records, even though they are added before the journey activation, they will be added to the journey. If only new records, only after activation, any new records that are coming in, they will be injected into the journey. Evaluate all records means it will inject whatever, even if it is older or newer, it will inject every contact into the journey. And this is all the basic configuration, and in the settings as well, we need to make sure that this is all configured. So we're now sure that we have done everything. Let's go ahead and validate this journey. So it takes a while to validate all the options, all the features, whether they're correctly configured or not. The ones that is checked are the decision split, the wait period, and the email configurations, and so on. So here there is already a 1-day wait period and there is one more. So it is listing out that something not really useful. So I have removed it. We can edit from here, and then there are some other recommendations as well. We can, it's not blocking. We can validate it once again after making the changes. Only the recommendations, we can ignore those. I'm activating this. So once we activate it, it will be saved and it will start running. It will start to run. And if you want to create a new version of this, if you want to add the SMS channel in between or update the decision split, we go to the version dashboard and then create a new version for this. We can also select to stop this version or all the versions, or if we want to copy this to a new journey as well, we can do that. This is the place where we can pause or stop all the versions or just this version. So 14 days or extend based on the verified duration period, or do not extend. Whenever this period ends, just move ahead with the next steps. That's where we define that. I think I covered everything. So in the next sessions, it's going to be very detailed. We're going to build a lot of journeys for each use case, and we're going to see everything in action. I want to move on to the questions if anything is pending. Tim or Lakshmi, can you please let me know if there's anything pending, any of the questions? So in the Slack channel as well after the session, if you have any questions, we can answer them. I'm gonna stop the screen share. Anybody let me know if there's any pending questions. Yes, goal and exit criteria can be used together. So goal is to measure the success, and exit criteria is to exit the contact. In the goal setting itself, we can define whether we want to exit the contact when it reaches the goal. Can we trigger multiple journeys using single automation? I don't think so. We can only have one journey activity within the single automation. We cannot do that. I think that is it. I don't see any other questions. If there are any unanswered questions from the previous chats, I'm not able to see which one is answered or which one is not. Please feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or on the Slack. So we'll be more than happy to answer all the questions. And next session, we're going to look at each and every activity that is present within the Journey Builder. And we have so many sessions lined up. All you need is your passion. And so we have all the content ready. So the time will be the same every Tuesday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Eastern. And we will also be having the hands-on sessions that is on Wednesday. So make sure that you are registered to each of these. Even if you're not registered, this schedule is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 a.m. Eastern. So we're not taking a break in between for the Dreamforce week. So we will be running the sessions continuously. Once again, thanks everyone for joining this, and hope to see you again in the next session. Thank you.